that 94 report came out. It was just a bunch of drab reading, statistics and so on. And if you look at the, and this is what bothers me about TNRCC and now TCEQ, if you look at the executive summary at the beginning, I look at that. If that's all I looked at and I were a bureaucrat, I'd deep six it. Because there's no problem. Yet, when I went in and we started graphing, we did bar graphs on a lot of these things up and down the river, particularly in our area. We began to see, wow, you know, there's high levels. I think we had 19 different chemicals that exceeded certain standards. In the 1997 study, over by our water treatment plant, they filleted a bass over there, and the bass fillet had methyl mercuric chloride of 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight. I called right then. I called the Food and Drug Administration office in Dallas, and I talked to the lady. And I said, what does this mean to you guys in the regulatory agency there? And she told me if we were checking a fish, if we sampled a fish that was crossing state lines under interstate commerce, we would see that had that level of mercury. We would seize that fish, and we would start an investigation to get to the bottom of why that level of mercury was there. And yet, that fish was taken in a grab sample. That should have triggered, in my mind, should have triggered by TNRCC a very careful study of the area, coming in and taking bass tissue, that species, and working on that species, finding out, you know, was this a fluke or is this statistically significant? It rocked on with no study. Finally, there was a subsequent study. And that study involved a number of different species of fish, not a huge number, but a number of different species, some of which were taken above the mouth of Manadas Creek, where I suspect the problem was coming from, because that was, you know, had been 65 or 70 years an antimony smelter, which processed ores from all over the world, including China and so on, which had in there not only antimony, but mercury and chromium and other heavy metals. But these fish in that subsequent study was taken from upstream of there in different places. I thought the whole study should have focused right there at the water intake, and it should have been the same species in which the mercury was found before in the same tissues. I mean, really control that experiment. To my knowledge, there has been no, what I would consider a good scientifically controlled experiment yet to answer that question.